Hey, Fred Minnick here with another rapid fire tasting. This time we've got Kentucky Senator Bourbon, a 6-year-old. Now this is a sourced whiskey product, and it is started by an actual Kentucky State Senator, Senator Damon Thayer, and he has a story of every one of the bottles has a story of a senator that's connected to Kentucky, whether it's federal or whether it's state. I think there might also be a chance that you might see some of those coming down the road that might include just some people who had some influence on the Senate. But I don't know where this one's going to go, but I do know, I think it's cool to connect anytime you can connect real history to a bourbon. That's why I think Jefferson's is so fascinating, is it's connected to Thomas Jefferson, who is, of course, the president who repealed the whiskey tax. You've seen all kinds of connections to President Grant over the years. Of course, he was a big bourbon drinker. I really haven't seen anything on President Taft. Not a very popular president, but he did define bourbon. So here we go to Kentucky Senator. This is 6 years old. It is a Kentucky straight bourbon. Without even tasting it, I have an assumption that it's probably going to be Barton, which is the only real distillery that has been churning things out, putting on the market. So Barton, which is owned by Sazerac, is supplying the likes of Total Wine, Costco, Kroger for their private labels, and they also have put a lot of stuff out through brokers on the open market. So I also wrote a story about this brand for Forbes. I put that in the description so you can learn more about why Senator Damon Thayer created this product. So here we go. I don't really know if this is a smell that I would necessarily associate with Barton. This has got more of a kind of a funk to me, which I don't normally get with a Barton. And that's one of the trickeries, if you will, of tasting a product when you know the source of it, or you think you know the source of it. You take your mind of what you think you know, and you go into the glass and you're smelling that, expecting to smell things that you know from that distillery, such as from Barton, bananas. But what I'm getting here from a nosing perspective is a far different nose. This is not a nose I would associate with Barton. If anything, I would associate this kind of like funkiness, this barn earth, this kind of like just a touch of cinnamon. This would be a little closer in the Wild Turkey camp, but it obviously is not going to be Wild Turkey because they don't put their barrels up in the wholesale market. And if they did, it was long ago. So grain, earth, and wood would be the three things I can tell you I really smell in this. 6-year-old sourced whiskey, a bourbon out of Kentucky. Here we go. This is a bourbon that at 6 years old, it feels like it's in the process of turning. Like, I have a feeling that if the whiskey that's in this bottle had been in the barrel for one more year, I think we're talking about something that might be special. 2 years, forget about it. It's going to be 8-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon. It's going in that direction, but it is on my tongue. It is like, something's going on over here, something's going on over here. It's not balanced. It's not all coming together. It feels like it's not all there yet. But I will say that it is good. I feel like it could be great with a little bit more time in the barrel. I'll break it down for you a little bit more, but that's one of the first things I look for is how does it feel on the tongue. And this is just a hot mess on my tongue. The flavors are there, but it's like the whiskey on my tongue is not syncing up. It's not coming together like you'd like to see in a sip. So in terms of where it's hitting on the palate, it's really focused mid-palate. So mid-palate's where we get a lot of the savory notes. You know, here I'm getting like a toast, a nice fat thick piece of toast, multi-grain, a little pat of butter on there, and then, you know, some salt. There's like a brininess, a saltiness right there in the middle of the palate. I'm also getting like some bitterness, you know, that you would get like in a sense of dark chocolate, like a dark chocolate bitterness, getting that a little bit more on the sides of the tongue. But overall, the general consensus on this is that it comes in the tip of the palate just a touch, back of the palate just a touch, but it really focuses there on the mid palate and just a handful of flavors coming in. There is one really nice thing that I see here, and that's like a bread pudding note. Like Bourbon's Bistro serves this amazing bread pudding, and this reminds me a lot of that bread, of that kind of a bread pudding. And I will say, you know, that banana note is absent there. It doesn't have that typical banana note that I know to be in Barton. So if this is indeed Barton, it's scaling in a different direction, and I kind of dig it. But like I said, I think it would be far more exceptional in a year or two. But that's going to do it for this quick tasting. Make sure that you are subscribing to my newsletter. Go to fredminnick.com. Go check out my books. I'm not just a YouTuber. I've written 7 books. Also, make sure you're checking out the podcast, The Fred Minnick Show, as well as Bourbon Pursuit. And, you know, have a good rest of the day, I think. Be safe out there. Vodka sucks.